What's up everybody, Meowth here. Welcome to the third card review for Darkmoon Faire. So of course these are wild card reviews. We're looking at cards from the perspective of wild power level, wild synergy. So while a lot of these might see play in standard, or maybe some of them have no chance at seeing play in standard, they might be seeing and playing in wild. So we'll be talking about all that kind of good stuff. Just a reminder that there's going to be 2 more card reviews. We're going to have 1 more coming tomorrow morning regarding the last 15 cards that are being revealed before the reveal stream. And then we'll have a little bit of a longer card review, the final one, covering the highlights of the final reveal stream. We won't be talking through all 70 cards or whatever that they show on the reveal stream, but we'll be talking about, the ones that stand out to us. But before we go ahead and get started with this card review, just a reminder to leave a like and comment if you guys enjoy my content. Help me out with that YouTube algorithm. It's free and supports me a lot. Okay, done a lot of talking. Let's actually start talking about some cards now. So the first one I want to talk about is Balloon Merchant. So this is a 4-mana, 3/5 Paladin card. Battle Cry, give your Silverhand recruits +1 attack and Divine Shield. So yeah, so obviously because this is not odd, you're a lot less inclined to play it. I will say, we'll talk about a couple cards later on where they're really pushing this kind of pure dude Paladin in standard. And I think it's definitely worth looking at in wild. It's going to be really hard to outclass just a hero power that summons 2 dudes. Who knows? But I definitely think you try it out. And that's the only place I can really see the Balloon Merchant working. You can maybe just try an old school dude Paladin as well. Right? You get the Balloon Merchants, you get some Stegodons, you get some Crystal Lions, you get level ups. Maybe we're getting to the point where you're getting enough synergy, but again, like I said, it's going to be really hard, especially now with Tour Guide being printed, to outclass just a hero power that summons 2 dudes. So I'm not super high on Balloon Merchant, but I'm definitely going to be trying out some pure dude Paladin. And the reason that I'm probably going to be trying out a lot of these pure decks is because of our next card, High Exarch Yrel. It's an 8-mana 7/5 Paladin legendary Battlecry. If your deck has no neutral cards, gain Rush, Lifesteal, Taunt, Divine Shield. Does this remind you of any card? So Ziliax, I think it's a little bit worse than Ziliax because 5 mana versus 8, but it's an 8 mana 7/5 Rush, Lifesteal, Taunt, Divine Shield. That's pretty damn strong, and it is the best payoff for playing a pure deck. So in Wild we've experimented with a couple of pure decks, most notably pure Librams. Now with Penflingers and Broomsticks, we've kind of moved away. We've established that that's really not the way you want to build the deck. So if you're looking at pure archetypes in Wild, I think you're looking at 2 things. The pure dudes, and you're also looking at maybe pure Secret Mage. Pure Secret Paladin, sorry. Secret Paladin and Pure Secret Paladin is a deck that actually saw a decent amount of play. A little bit of experimentation, and it's actually not terrible. And it's getting a couple of buffs this expansion, so I think definitely you experiment with a pure Secret Paladin. It's probably the way you do want to build that deck. So I don't think that they're going to be better than Odd Paladin, but I definitely think you should try them out. And Yrel looks like an insanely awesome, powerful card. And then I think the reason that I might have slipped and said Secret Mage is because of the next 2 cards we're going to talk about. Rigged Fair Game. This is the new Mage secret. 3 mana. If you didn't take any damage during your opponent's turn, draw 3 cards. So the dream here is play this out on turn 1, or if you're playing against a control deck, even cheating it out for free off a Current or a Scientist, you're generally not getting hit. So it's essentially draw 3. I think the question becomes, do you want 1 or 2 of these in your Secret Mage deck? And while it might be tempting to run 2, because generally Secret Mage's weakness has always been consistency. And that consistency stems from the fact that you don't have a ton of card draw outside of Alanath. And this kind of helps alleviate that. I still think you probably only run 1, just because if you run 2, it's really easy for them to get clogged and clunky in your hand, especially against other aggressive matchups. But I'm a big fan of this card. I think you definitely run 1 in Secret Mage. And it's a nice little buff to Reno Secret Mage as well. I'm going to keep bringing that up because I think Reno Secret Mage is actually a pretty damn good deck, but a criminally underrated deck. And it's getting a lot of strong tools alongside Secret Mage to definitely keep an eye on it moving into the new expansion. And then the next card for Secret Mage, Occult Conjurer. So Secret Mage, the weakest part of the Secret Mage curve has always been 4 mana. Just because you're hoping that you either hit a discounted Crystal Runner or you're hoping for 2/2 drops. Otherwise you're going Secret, floating a mana, or you're playing a 2-drop ping. It's really weak. And what better way to solve the weakest part of the curve by printing a 4-mana 8/8 damn, this is like insane. This is such a good card. This 4-mana 4/4 battle cry. If you control a secret, summon a copy of this. So obviously you're going 1-drop into 2-drop into Kirin into Occult Conjurer, and you play the 4-mana 8/8, then you play the Cloud Prince, and then you play whatever 6-drop, or you play 4/2. You've got this. Just gives the deck so many more threats. We talked a little bit about this on the most recent episode of the State of Wild with Rifle, but you're really looking at you're getting to the point where you really have to experiment with how you're actually building the deck, which is nice because you haven't had to do that in a couple of years now. So I think Occult Conjurer, though, is a very good card, very strong card, and definitely should see play in Seeker Mage. So Seeker Mage getting a couple of pretty massive buffs. Keep an eye on it moving into the next expansion. And then again, talking about the State of Wild, if you haven't seen it, make sure you guys check it out after this video. But this is Raffle's favorite legendary so far, I think, outside of ETC. Grand Empress Zigzara. This is the rogue legendary 6-mana 5/7 battlecry. Discover a card in your deck and draw all copies of it. So outside of the obvious combo potential with like Togwaggle Scheme and then either Mogu Cultist or Pogo Hopper, I think this is just a very strong card. In something like a Shuffle Rogue. So about a year ago, I was playing a lot of Faldori Strider Stowaway Rogue. You now have the 3-mana 4/3 that shuffles the Spooky Bears into your deck. You have Waxadread. And so, imagine you play like Faldori Strider on 4, Faldori Strider on 5, and then you play this, and you select the Spider, and you hit 6 4/4s that draw you 6 cards. Like, so good. Of course, you have to be a little bit wary because it's slower rogue card, right? And slower rogue archetypes tend to struggle in our format just because of the lack of survivability. But I think the blowout potential of this card in both combo and the Shuffle Rogue archetypes, Shuffle Rogue getting a lot of support in the expansion. We'll talk about another card it's getting. It's a pretty damn good card. And I also think outside of all this potential combo, I think it's just a solid card in something like Rena Rogue if you're playing that kind of deck, just because it's essentially a tutor, right? It's a fake tutor, but it's a tutor. You discover 3 random cards in your deck, and then you get to choose one that fits the situation, right? Hit that Zeph, hit that Reno, or hit, if you're playing another slow deck, maybe hit the Galakron or whatever. And so I think Zigzara is a pretty damn strong card. It's a nice buff to the archetypes that it's in. It's just a matter of, can you get away with playing slower rogue decks in Wild? And we'll see. We'll see how the meta plays out. Aggro Druid and Seeker Mage obviously looking like they're going to be pretty damn strong moving forward. Same with Odd Paladin, so maybe not. But if Bruce is still super dominant, then yeah, I don't see why Zigzara can't make its way into a meta deck. Next up, let's talk 10th Thrasher. This is a 5-mana 5/5 dragon for warrior. Rush costs 1 less for each friendly minion with a unique minion type. So first of all, I'm excited because we're getting more tempo dragons in warrior, right? None of that stupid control crap. This is actually a pretty damn strong card, right? You run Matron because it's a 4-mana 5/5 with Rush with upside. This upside is the potential of it being 2 or 3 mana potentially. If you're just looking at the normal Galakron Rogue shell or Galakron Warrior shell, you run Rovers, you run the Pirates, you run the Scions, you run Ziliacs. So you're hitting at least 3 or 4 minion types right there. And so you have the potential for this costing 2 or 3 mana. It gets tutored off of Scion, or it gets tutored off of Town Crier, sorry. So if this is 4 mana, I think it's still good. If it's 3 mana, it's insane. So I'm looking forward to playing with this. I don't think it's bonkers. I don't think it's bonkers strong, but I think it is pretty damn strong, and it addresses like the weak point in something like Dragon Warrior. This actually gives you more playable dragons, so now you can actually run Alex Russ's champion and be happy about it, like one of the best 2-drops in the game. So yeah, I'm a big fan of 10th Thrasher, and we'll see kind of how this Dragon Warrior, Galakron Warrior shell kind of plays out. So next up, we've got Bladed Lady. This is a 6-mana 6/6 demon with Rush for Demon Hunter. Cost 1 if your hero has 6 more attacks. So obviously it's not odd, so we're sad because it doesn't fit into Odd Demon Hunter. So what you're looking at is Soul Demon Hunter, right? Because it's really easy to activate. You have the 5-mana 5/5 that gets your hero +5 attack, and then your hero power. Now this costs 1. I think the only really note I have on this is you keep an eye on it in Soul Demon Hunter in Standard. And if it's really good in Soul Demon Hunter in Standard, it's probably really good in Wild. And that's really all I have to say, just because Wild Soul Demon Hunter is literally the standard deck plus Brand. So if this is good in standard, it's good in Wild. Next up, we have Firebreather. This is a 4-mana Warlock card, 4/3 Demon. Battlecry, deal 2 damage to all minions except demons. So first of all, it itself is a demon, which actually takes it down a huge notch, right? Because now Cubelocks and Rinlings don't want to run it because Void Caller, anti-synergy. So I think, what are you looking at it in? You're looking at it in maybe Evenlock? I don't really know if 2 damage... First of all, 2 damage AoE on turn 4 isn't that great, to be honest with you. Outside of Odd Paladin, aggro druids have generally gotten higher health totals than that. So I guess you're looking at, do you want to play it for the minion slot? It damages your Twilight Drakes, it damages your Giants. I'm not a huge fan of this card. Maybe you're looking at it in something like Galakrond Zoo, but Galakrond Zoo is so far off the pace of everything else in the format that even if this does see playing Galakrond Zoo, I don't think that this is going to be like, the thing that makes Galakrond a playable meta deck. So I'm not super high on Firebreather. I don't think it's going to see a ton of play in this format. So let's talk about Zithe the Incredible. 5 mana, 5/3 Demon Hunter Legendary. Battlecry, copy the left and rightmost cards in your hand. It's a pretty exciting card. And I'm sure that there's some combo potential out there that you can abuse with Zithe, but I'm mainly just looking at it as potential power in something like Odd Demon Hunter. Its ability to give you more resources in the mid game is what I'm looking at here, right? More Leroys, more Metamorphoses, more Glaive-bound Adepts, even something like more Twin Slices or more Henge-Clan Thugs. Just giving you a little bit more sustainability with your threats in the mid game is a pretty huge deal. Because that's kind of where Odd Demon Hunter fell off the face of the earth. Is once you hit turn 5, turn 6, you aren't able to continue applying enough pressure, especially after the nerf to Warglaives. So while I don't think Zithe is an incredible card, let's see what I did there. But while I don't think it's an incredible card, I think it's just a pretty solid card. And Odd Demon Hunter needs a lot of help, and so you're probably putting this in that deck. Will it make Odd Demon Hunter tier 1? Probably not. It's not that good of a card. But I do think it helps shore up some of the weaknesses of the class and the deck. And I definitely want to mess around with it for sure. Alright, so now next up we've got the card that I think a lot of people are either really, really scared about or really, really hype about. We've got the 5 mana, 5/5 Demon Paladin Legendary Lothraxion the Redeemed. So this is the Paladin Legendary, the battle cry for the rest of the game. After you summon a Silverhand Recruit, give it Divine Shield. So obviously, Odd Paladin, right? This is what you're looking at. It's a very, very strong effect, all right? I think anybody that's played the deck or played against the deck kind of recognizes how powerful of an effect this can be. It makes it so much harder to clear your recruits. And it buffs not only your hero power, but Lost in the Jungle, Muster, all that kind of good stuff. I will say, I don't think this is like 5 out of 5. Like 5 stars out of 5, because my only reservation with this card is that it's a 5 mana card in Odd Paladin that has no immediate board impact, right? Loatheb is being cut from those decks, right? Faceless Corruptors are being cut from that deck, and so are you really okay playing a 5 mana 5/5 even though it has a bonkers effect? Probably. Maybe you're playing Odd Paladin, you can probably get away with it. But yeah, I think my opinion is this card is a little bit slow, but it's an insanely powerful effect, and I think it's the balance. Are you okay? Are you okay giving up a little bit of speed for this powerful effect? I think what the issue is that it's not super impactful against other aggressive decks, in my opinion, because your hero power generally outvalues and outpaces those other aggressive decks when it comes to resources, anyways. And so then playing a 5 mana 5/5 is really bad against stuff like Aggro Druid or Odd Rogue, even Shaman. But obviously the Divine Shield is insane against Priests and Warlocks. So yeah, I think this will see play. I will say though that I don't think it's as bonkers as everybody else is saying. Speaking of bonkers though, let's talk Deck of Chaos. First of all, what the hell is this card, man? This is a 6 mana Legendary Warlock spell. Swap the cost and attack of all minions in your deck. Okay, so this is an insane card, like in terms of design and everything like that. I don't actually think it's that insane in terms of power level. So I think the very obvious kind of card that you can equate it to is Luna's Pocket Galaxy and Mage. I will say it is a lot worse than Luna's Pocket Galaxy because it doesn't make your stuff cost 1, which is an extremely relevant thing to keep in mind. You also have to keep in mind that Warlock doesn't have ways to tutor it out of your deck, like Mage does with the Tortilla Pilgrim. You do have your life tap, your hero power, so it's kind of mitigated by that. But I will say, looking at just the generic list of Q-blocks and Rinlings, this has a lot of good hits. Like, imagine a 3-mana 9/9 Voidlord. Like, what? A 5-mana Dreadlord? 4-mana cubes? That's pretty insane. So, like, in the slow matchups or, like, the mirrors, if you hit it on curve, it's going to be nutty. It's going to be one of those super kind of swingy cards, which is not the most exciting, right? It's not the most exciting. I will say they did kind of keep the power level of this card in check a little bit because it only affects cards that are in your deck. It doesn't discount in your hand, so it takes away a lot of the combo potential for this card. But I do think it's pretty powerful. I'm definitely going to be playing with it. And honestly, even if it's just like 75% of the power level of Luna's Pocket Galaxy, it'll be a good card, especially in something like Rinlings. And so I'm excited to play it, and I'll definitely be messing around with it a ton. One of the most exciting cards I think we've seen so far. Next up, let's talk Malevolent Strike. So this is a 5-mana rogue spell. Destroy a minion, so it's Assassinate. Costs 1 less for each card in your deck that didn't start there. So this is just a nice little synergy piece for the Shuffle Rogue archetype that they're looking like they're pushing a little bit. This expansion. It's not going to be the reason that the Shuffle Rogue is tier 1, but like if you play Faldori's Rider on curve, or the 4/3 on curve, this is costing 2. Sometimes it'll cost 3. That's pretty damn strong. 2-mana Assassinate, I'd play that in any rogue deck that could. So yeah, I think this is strong. I think it's a nice synergy piece, but I don't think it's going to push Shuffle Rogue into being like a top tier 1 deck. Alright, so we go from that to Rinlings Rifle. This is a 4-mana Hunter legendary weapon. It's a 4-mana 2/2. Automatically, you're really sad because those stats suck. Hopefully the effect is good. After your hero attacks, discover a secret and cast it. Well, that effect's not very good. So whenever you're looking at secrets, you're immediately competing with Eagle Horn Bow. This looks a lot worse than Eagle Horn Bow. I will say the only thing that this has going for it potentially is the wording on this card. It says discover a secret and cast it. So maybe this upgrades your spellstone. Consistency in Hearthstone means that it probably doesn't, but even if it did, like, it's a little bit of a buff, but it's still you're paying 4 mana for 2 attack. That's just not worth it. You can't do that. It's way too slow and wild. I'm 99.99999% certain that it will not see play. All right, next up we've got Tenwu of the Red Smoke. It's a really, really cool name for not a very, very cool effect. It's a 2-mana 3/2 rogue legendary. Battle Cry, return a friendly minion to your hand. It costs 1 this turn. So it's a better Brewmaster. So outside of Quest Rogue, like, are you playing this card? Probably not. Probably not, because you're looking at Shadow Steps, right? As one of the comparisons in that and Brewmaster. The fact that this says this turn kind of kills it for me. And so essentially what you're having to do is you're hopefully hitting some like pretty high value card, like a Vile Spine Slayer, or a Togwaggle. And so I don't think this card is very strong. If you're wanting to bounce like a Togwaggle or a Vile Spine like the next turn that you've played it, it's against stuff like Rinlings or Q-blocks, where they're probably killing your creature and not really letting you get the value. And so you're waiting until like turn 10 to get the value, and that's extremely slow. And we've talked about how bad slow rogue decks can be, just because there's a real struggle with survivability for the class. So I'm not super high. I might be missing stuff. I might be missing some pretty awesome synergy. But outside of it being just like a Brewmaster, right, and running it in Quest Rogue or running it in Pogo Rogue, I'm not super excited about this card just because I'm not seeing a lot of the potential for it. So next up we've got the Druid Legendary, 5-mana 4/6 Taunt Greybough. Death Rattle, give a random friendly minion Death Rattle summon Greybough. So basically what this does is it gives Taunt Druid resiliency to AoE, which is not something Taunt Druid really had issues with because it ran Kartet Defenders and like Winged Guardians. So I'm not like super hype on this card. I don't think it's that good. 5 mana 4/6 taunts are okay, but they're really slow. And this doesn't address the issue that Taunt Druid has, which is speed, right? It kind of contributes to the issue that Taunt Druid has. Don't get me wrong, Taunt Druid has one of the best like late game value engines, right? Just wave after wave after wave of threats, but this doesn't address the issues, which is speed. By the time you set up the Taunt Druid thing, other classes are doing the same thing, but on turn 5, turn 6. And so it's a cool card, cool effect, won't see play. Speaking of a card, though, that will see play, we've got Sage, Seer of Darkmoon. So we've talked a ton about Secret Mage earlier with the 2 cards that we talked about, but Sage does the same thing, right? It addresses that issue of card draw in Mage. It's pretty damn strong card. 6 mana 5/5, Battlecry, draw 1 card. Upgrade it for each friendly secret that's triggered this game. So if you're looking at this card on curve, you're generally drawing, 3 cards? 4 cards? That's pretty nutty. That's a really good card. Yeah. You run this in Secret Mage. You run this in Reno Secret Mage. Honestly, maybe you run this in LPG Mage as like a 6 mana draw 2. Maybe like a 1 mana draw 2, draw 3. That's a really good card. Yeah, I don't think I need to talk too much about this card. I think it's just going to be another staple for Secret Mage for sure. Very, very strong. I'm scared of Secret Mage and Reno Secret Mage moving forward into the next expansion. Very, 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 very good card. And last but not least, let's talk about Deck of Lunacy. This is a 2 mana legendary mage spell. Transform spells in your deck into ones that cost 3 more. They keep their original cost. I hate cards like this. This reminds me of Evocation. It's a lot worse than Evocation, though, so probably won't see a ton of competitive play, which is probably good for mine and a lot of people's sanity. But obviously, it's a very, very fun card to play. I won't argue against that. It's a very, very fun card to play, probably. The only situation that I see this thing play is in like the no minion mage or the spells only kind of archetype that was pushed as like a late game card potentially to give you some finishing power, right? You don't want those 2 mana 3 mana cards. Let's make them 5 or 6 mana cards and see what happens. So yeah, I mean, this will be very, very fun to play. Probably really annoying to lose to, but I don't think it's going to be pretty good. Because they can be transformed into any class, right? It's not just mage spells. So you can't like get blizzards or pyroblast or anything like that. So no gaming the system like that. But yeah, Deck of Lunacy, the last card in Card Review Part 3. At the time of recording, there have been a couple more cards that have been revealed. But I'm going to just touch on all of them in my last card review tomorrow morning. Card review part 4 that'll cover all the cards revealed up until the live reveal stream, and then we'll be doing another card review later tomorrow with all of this kind of stuff. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this card review. Let me know what cards you're excited to play, what archetypes you're scared of or excited to play. I'm like I said, Secret Mage, yeah, I'm looking really strong. But we'll see. Let me know your thoughts and comments on these cards, whether you agree or disagree. And again, if you like this video, make sure you guys leave a like and comment. Help me out with that YouTube algorithm. I hope you guys are looking forward to the new expansion, Theory Crafting, coming later this week. I'm excited. And next Tuesday, cannot get here soon enough. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys next time. Later.